Poverty and homelessness in the United States are increasing and becoming visible on the streets, in parks, and in neighborhood parking lots of cities. More and more people do not have a permanent roof over their heads, and, instead of an apartment, sleep in their cars, which changes the face of urban poverty. Official data from the year 2024 list 770,000 people without a fixed place of residence. This number represents an increase of 18% compared to the previous year and is the highest since counting began in 2007. According to experts, official statistics omit people temporarily living with relatives or friends, which hides the full scale of the social crisis. In practice, the real number of people without permanent housing may reach even several million, because many cases never enter official registers. The states most affected by the problem are California and New York, where high housing costs push people out of the rental market. Maria Foscarinas, an activist working on the rights of homeless people, points out that authorities at various levels do not take sufficient action. Homelessness includes diverse social groups, including families with children, older people, those who work but earn insufficiently, and the unemployed. About 30% of people without a roof over their heads struggle with mental health disorders or with substance abuse problems. A growing group of people over the age of 55 cannot afford housing due to the loss of a partner, job, or health problems. People lose their homes because of evictions, debts, illness, or other life shocks that take away financial stability and the ability to maintain housing. Many of the evicted, who have nowhere to go, decide to live in a car because the vehicle provides privacy and minimal safety at night. The car becomes a shelter, a place to store belongings, and the only option when there are no places in shelters or support from family. In some cities, there are regulations prohibiting sleeping in public places or living in cars, which complicates the situation of the homeless. Instead of help, many people face fines, confiscations, or arrests for not having a roof over their heads and seeking shelter in vehicles. Shelters are overloaded. According to some data, about 200,000 spaces are missing to provide a bed for all those in need of help. In response, some cities are creating safe parking programs, where people in cars can park without the threat of immediate legal intervention. Life in a car is rarely a conscious choice. It more often results from a lack of alternatives, rising rents, and low wages that do not cover rent. In Los Angeles County, people living in cars make up a significant share of the homeless who do not use shelters. The criminalization of homelessness involves using public order regulations instead of assistance programs, which causes pressure and exclusion instead of social support. Penalties for being in public places or for sleeping in a vehicle hinder rebuilding life and access to services that could help exit the crisis. Legal and nonprofit organizations try to counter such practices through advocacy and legal support, but their capabilities are limited. The lack of affordable housing and rising rental costs mean that even employed people often do not have sufficient income to find safe housing. Housing policy does not keep up with demand, and the lack of investment in affordable construction deepens the scale of poverty and homelessness in communities. Long-term solutions are needed, including social housing construction, mental health support, and reintegration programs that operate comprehensively. Without systemic support, people will continue to fall into a spiral of poverty after job loss, illness, or other life events, without a real chance to rebuild. Temporary programs, like safe parking, reduce risks for people sleeping in cars but do not replace permanent housing or lasting assistance. Families with children are particularly affected, losing stability and security, which affects education, health, and life prospects of the youngest. Policies that remove people from public spaces without providing housing solutions deepen isolation and make returning to normal life more difficult. Healthcare, psychological help, and access to housing placement services are elements that are lacking in many places and that hinder getting out of the crisis. Examples of cities investing in supportive housing show that combining housing with social services can lead to real improvements. However, local programs alone, without financial and political support on a wider scale, will not change the structural causes of homelessness. Fighting poverty requires decisive budgetary decisions and a shift in priorities so that housing policy is accessible and adequate to the needs. If the scale of actions does not increase, the social and economic costs associated with homelessness will grow and burden local and national budgets. Maria Foscarinas emphasizes that the lack of action by authorities can be read as a choice by a society that does not provide solutions for people losing their homes.